Africa's 10 ancient trade routes. From history to modern economy. Africa, a continent rich in history and cultural diversity, has long been a hub of trade and commerce. For centuries, ancient trade routes crisscrossed the continent, connecting distant regions and facilitating the exchange of goods, ideas, and technologies. These routes not only shaped the economic landscape of their time, but also left an indelible mark on the cultures and societies they touched. Today, many of these historic pathways continue to influence Africa's modern economy. In this article, we explore 10 of Africa's most significant ancient trade routes and their enduring legacy. 1. The Trans-Saharan trade route. The Trans-Saharan trade route was one of the most prominent trade networks in Africa, linking North Africa with sub-Saharan regions. This route facilitated the exchange of gold, salt, and ivory, along with cultural and intellectual ideas. Caravans of camels traversed the vast Sahara Desert, enduring extreme conditions to transport goods. Cities like Timbuktu, Gao, and Jen flourished as key trading hubs, becoming centers of wealth and learning. Today, the legacy of the Trans-Saharan trade route is evident in the cultural richness of these historic cities. Modern trade and tourism in the region often draw on the historical significance of this ancient network, blending history with economic opportunity. Restoration efforts have brought renewed attention to these cities, making them accessible to both researchers and travelers who wish to experience their historical splendor firsthand. 2. The Nile River trade route. The Nile River, often referred to as the lifeblood of Egypt, served as a crucial trade artery in ancient Africa. This river enabled the transport of goods such as grain, papyrus, and pottery, connecting communities along its banks. The Nile also facilitated interactions with neighboring regions, extending Egypt's influence through trade and diplomacy. In modern times, the Nile remains vital for trade, agriculture, and energy production. The construction of dams and irrigation systems has expanded its role in Africa's economy, proving that this ancient trade route continues to shape the region's development. Today, the Nile also serves as a symbol of regional cooperation and a driver of transnational projects aimed at improving water resource management. 3. The Red Sea Trade Network. The Red Sea Trade Network linked Africa with the Middle East and Asia, creating a bustling corridor of commerce. Goods such as spices, textiles, and precious metals flowed through ports like Adulis in modern Eritrea and Aksum. The Aksumite kingdom became a powerful player in this trade network, controlling key maritime routes that extended its influence far beyond its borders. Today, the Red Sea remains a vital shipping lane for global trade. The legacy of this ancient network is reflected in the strategic importance of ports like Djibouti, which serve as gateways for international commerce. Ongoing investment in maritime infrastructure highlights the enduring relevance of this historic trade route in the modern global economy. 4. The Indian Ocean trade route. Stretching along Africa's eastern coastline, the Indian Ocean trade route connected the continent to India, Arabia, and Southeast Asia. This network facilitated the exchange of goods like gold, spices, and slaves, alongside cultural and technological ideas. Coastal cities such as Kilwa, Zanzibar, and Sofala thrived as major trading centers, blending African, Arab, and Asian influences in their architecture and culture. The Indian Ocean's economic significance persists in the modern era, with ports along Africa's east coast playing a crucial role in global trade. The integration of historic sites into tourism strategies, alongside initiatives to strengthen maritime trade, has ensured that the legacy of this route remains alive and impactful. 5. The Gold Salt Trade Route. The Gold Salt Trade Route, also known as the Salt Road, was a vital economic artery in West Africa. Gold from regions like Ghana, and Mali was exchanged for salt, a highly prized commodity at the time. The route contributed to the rise of powerful empires such as the Ghana Empire and the Mali Empire, with cities like Timbuktu and Walata emerging as key trade centers of learning and commerce. Modern West Africa still draws on its gold reserves as a significant economic resource, while the historical significance of the gold-salt trade route remains a point of cultural pride and tourism. Festivals and museums dedicated to this era ensure that the history of these trade networks is preserved for future generations. Moreover, this history serves as inspiration for contemporary African entrepreneurs seeking to integrate traditional and modern economic practices. 6. The Swahili Coast Trade Network. The Swahili Coast Trade Network extended along Africa's eastern shoreline, connecting local communities to global markets. Goods like ivory, gold, and spices were traded with merchants from Arabia, India, and China. The Swahili language and culture, a blend of African and Arab influences, flourished as a result of this trade, and this rich heritage is still evident in the coastal communities today. Today, the Swahili Coast's historic ports continue to serve as economic hubs. Modern trade and tourism capitalize on the rich cultural heritage and maritime history of the region. The inclusion of Swahili Coast sites in UNESCO heritage programs underscores their global importance. Investments in port modernization further enhance the region's status as a bridge between Africa and the global economy. 7. The Great Zimbabwe Trade Route. Great Zimbabwe, a medieval city in southern Africa, was a key player in regional trade networks. The city's impressive stone structures and artifacts suggest a thriving economy based on gold and cattle trading. Great Zimbabwe connected the interior to coastal ports, facilitating the export of gold and other goods that enriched its ruling elite. The site remains an important cultural and historical landmark, attracting tourists and researchers. The legacy of Great Zimbabwe's trade networks continues to inspire pride in southern Africa's rich history. Efforts to integrate the site into educational programs and sustainable tourism initiatives aim to preserve its cultural significance. These programs are complemented by initiatives to develop surrounding communities through heritage-based economic activities. 8. The Sahelian trade routes. The Sahel region, stretching across Africa just south of the Sahara Desert, was home to numerous trade routes that connected West Africa to the Mediterranean. Goods like gold, salt, and textiles flowed through cities such as Gao and Kano, transforming these hubs into prosperous centers of commerce. The Sahelian trade routes also played a role in the spread of Islam, fostering cultural exchanges and advancements in education and science. Modern trade in the Sahel faces challenges such as desertification and conflict, but efforts to revitalize the region's economy draw on its historic role as a center of commerce and connectivity. Initiatives like the African Continental Free Trade Area aim to enhance economic cooperation and rebuild the region's status as a commercial hub. These efforts also prioritize sustainability and the development of resilient infrastructure to support long-term growth. 9. The Congo River Trade Route. The Congo River served as a vital trade route for communities in Central Africa, enabling the transport of goods like ivory, copper, and rubber. This river system connected inland regions to coastal markets, fostering economic and cultural exchange that shaped Central Africa's development. Today, the Congo River remains a crucial lifeline for trade and transportation in Central Africa. Its potential for hydroelectric power and its role in regional connectivity highlight its enduring economic importance. Investments in infrastructure and energy projects along the river aim to unlock its full potential for the region's growth. These projects also seek to improve local livelihoods by creating jobs and enhancing access to essential resources. 10. The caravan routes of the Horn of Africa. The Horn of Africa's caravan routes linked the region to the Arabian Peninsula and beyond. Goods such as frankincense, myrrh, and livestock were traded along these routes, contributing to the prosperity of ancient kingdoms like Aksum and Punt. The routes also facilitated cultural exchanges, enriching the region's art, architecture, and traditions. In the modern era, the Horn of Africa continues to play a strategic role in global trade, with ports like Berbera and Djibouti serving as key hubs. The region's historical trade networks remain a source of cultural identity and economic potential. Efforts to preserve these trade routes through archaeological research and heritage projects highlight their historical and modern significance. Moreover, the region is leveraging its strategic location to attract foreign investment and strengthen its economic ties globally. Conclusion: Africa's ancient trade routes were more than just economic pathways. They were conduits for cultural exchange, innovation, and connectivity. These routes laid the foundation for many of the continent's modern economies, highlighting the enduring legacy of Africa's rich trading history. As we reflect on these ancient networks, we are reminded of the resilience and ingenuity that continue to drive Africa's growth in the global economy. Which of these trade routes fascinates you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments and join the conversation.